Let's say someone would like to see the Milky Way, to see this majestic structure in the night sky, and to see with your own eyes that we live in a galaxy. This has been seen by everyone in the past centuries and millennia. There's no place in the USA, by the way, from where you can see an unpolluted sky. Anywhere you go, you would see the orange or white glow of cities on the horizon, and the night sky will be brighter than it was. Then you will see this highway of satellites crossing everywhere in the sky, because there's no escape anymore.
Over half the world today draws their religious doctrine from the Abrahamic Old Testament, which states that God created the stars and the heavens on the fourth day. 2 days later, he created man. Throughout history, the inaccessibility of the heavens has led to many different unique cosmologies, all explaining the inexplicable beauty of the unchanging night sky. Mighty civilizations rose and fell underneath the same set of stars. Stars used for farming, navigating, and myth-making. Stars so far out of reach that they could only be the domain of gods. Until man reached up and touched the face of God. Sputnik 1 was the first artificial satellite put into low Earth orbit, launched in 1957 by the Soviet Union. It marked the beginning of the space race, with the US and the USSR competing to accomplish bolder and bolder space missions in the name of national progress.
And only if the United States occupies a position of preeminence can we help decide whether this new ocean will be a sea of peace or a new terrifying theater of war.
These publicly funded ambitions in space were closely tied to their respective ideologies, with both nations envisioning themselves as the arbiters of this new frontier.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap.
When the Star-Spangled Banner was planted on the surface of the moon, victory in the space race was claimed by the US. And once the US had dominance in space, they didn't want to let go.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. We've gone for main engine start.
Announced in 1972 and first flown in 1981, the Space Shuttle was a defining space vehicle for generations of wannabe astronauts, myself included. It delivered satellites, built the International Space Station, and serviced the Hubble Space Telescope.
A short time later, debris was seen falling from the skies above Texas. The Columbia is lost. There are no survivors.
But when the shuttle program ended and the ISS was completed in 2011, there was no American spaceflight program to immediately replace it. It seemed to many that American dominance in spaceflight was over.
In the history of spaceflight, only 4 entities have launched a space capsule into orbit and successfully brought it back to the Earth: the United States, Russia, China, and Elon Musk.
In the 20th century, the idea of a private company dominating access to space belonged solidly in the realm of science fiction. But in the last few years, one man has been the face of making that scenario into reality.
Mr. Musk is a wealthy internet entrepreneur who has vowed to revolutionize space exploration by bringing down the astronomical costs.
Musk's company SpaceX is famous for its reusable rocket technology that has brought down the cost of spaceflight exponentially.
You know, this year, if things go according to plan, SpaceX will do probably 90% of all Earth mass to orbit. And then China will do about 6%, and the rest of the world will do about 4%.
One of their flagship projects is the Starlink program.
In the past 3 years, the number of satellites has tripled, and is mainly, of course, by one project, the Starlink project.
So Starlink is a network of satellites with the primary purpose of broadcasting internet on Earth. I think the key here is super fast latency, providing internet for the wealthy, including for the military, and including to the stock exchange. My name is Gaspar Bakos. I've been doing astronomy since I was 5, basically all my life. I'm an optical observer astronomer. I like to observe the night sky and find and discover things.
Bakos is a professor of astrophysics at Princeton University and an outspoken advocate for the protection of the night sky.
The problem is these satellites are bright. When they're launched, they're brighter than the brightest stars, and they're launched in big numbers.
Advocates warn that the night sky will soon become unrecognizable, with dramatic changes coming in the next few years alone.
The otherwise starry night sky that we're looking at with the usual constellations, the Big Dipper, the Little Dipper, the Milky Way, is basically transformed into like a highway, Garden Street Parkway above us, with all these satellites crossing from left to right in thousands. If this is not limited, time will come when it will be hard to point out the Big Dipper to a child.
This new night sky will be a major problem for everyday stargazers and professional astronomers alike.
There's also astronomical research where you're trying to take images of the night sky and try to carry out accurate measurements. You try to discover supernovae, find new comets, find near-Earth asteroids, discover ones that might even hit the Earth, and many other interesting things, which is all spoiled by the bright trails of these satellites crossing in front of the telescope.
However, light pollution is not the only consequence of the Starlink program.
Technology was too fast for culture and our understanding of environmental impact. And the same thing here.
That's Babak Tafreshi, one of the world's best astrophotographers and a leading dark sky educator.
The number of the rockets we're sending to space, each one adds a bit of the black carbon to the upper atmosphere, which contributes to climate change. The question is, how many is enough? How fast do we need so many of these? Starlink is at the moment 4,500 satellites out of 6,000 active, and it's going to be 12,000. So, in 5-10 years, this is going too far, too fast.
In the absence of meaningful regulation of satellites, dark sky advocates have taken matters into their own hands.
The night sky and the space around Earth is no one's. And you can't just spoil it for everyone simply because you're rich. So I started a petition which was signed by tens of thousands of people, and later on we followed up on Zoom with SpaceX, including with Elon Musk.
After discussions with Musk, some changes were made to the Starlink design, reducing the brightness of the satellites, yet not solving the problem entirely.
And I must say, on one hand, I was happy that there is some reception of the problem, there is some understanding of the problem, and there is communication, which might actually not exist with other companies or other countries. On the other hand, the solution is somewhat marginal. It was sweeping the problem under the rug.
The Starlink program has also recently come under scrutiny for its role in Ukraine, and Elon Musk's outsized influence on the conflict.
Elon Musk's low-orbit satellite service has been essential to Ukraine's operations in the war against Russia, offering reliable internet amid cell tower and power outages.
It is a game changer. Not many things in the military world are real game changers.
Starlink today is the backbone of the Ukrainian military communications.
These reports, Elon Musk refused to provide Starlink access to the Ukrainian military for their operations against Russia. Let's take a listen.
Other aspects of our national security continue to move more towards the private sector. There are some benefits there, and that a lot of innovation, a lot of incredible technology, but we cannot be in a situation where you have a billionaire that's making veto decisions over the matters of our national security. These unelected, unaccountable executives cannot make decisions like that.
Recently, SpaceX was awarded a contract to produce Starshield satellites, a version of Starlink paid for by the US military.
Going to space is a very difficult matter. And so because it's very difficult, it means you need money. Where's the money? We know the money comes from the military. And the euphemism for this in the space field is dual use. The duality there is a civilian exploratory visionary use and then military, right? Spy satellites, and that's inevitable. You know, I mean, SpaceX launches military satellites all the time, and to deny that there isn't a core role that military interest and national defense play in the development of space technology would be foolish.
David Valentine is a professor of anthropology at the University of Minnesota, whose work deals with the human exploration of space, including the private space industry.
For the people I work with, dual use is an inconvenient truth, right? In a sense, it's like, it's the thing you've kind of got to do. It's seen almost as an inevitable, a necessary evil, but that's what's going to get humans on Mars.
So that's the overarching goal of the company, is extend life sustainably to another planet. Mars is the only option, really. And Falcon and Starlink are what obviously keep the company going.
I think the errors that some analysts make is to see one as an alibi for the other, right? To see the visionary arguments as kind of standing in for or being an alibi or trying to hide profit motive, for example. But I don't think that's the case at all. It's one of the remaining sites of unreflexive humanism, right? Like, there are lots of claims about humanity and humanness. They are well-intentioned, if ill-informed.
I'm not seeing things black and white. Just the idea that they can decrease the cost of spaceflight by significant numbers was a breakthrough. But the intention to do the same thing is there by many others. There's OneWeb, there's Amazon wants to launch things, and there's also military applications like other countries. China wants to have like a fleet of these. And it may become like a competition. It's like a gold rush. And in the end, look what happens to anywhere we compete for something, either land or timber or gold or water, us, humanity, destroy things. And so there will be, if this gets out of control, and right now it looks like, there will be a sky completely lost for future generations.
Man in his quest for knowledge and progress is determined and cannot be deterred. The exploration of space will go ahead, whether we join in it or not. For space science, like nuclear science and all technology, has no conscience of its own. Whether it will become a force for good or ill depends on man.